from our clergy conference up in Orillia, Ontario. Um, we have some free time today in the middle of all of the meeting times and the talks from so and so and the other person, and we've got some free time. So I thought I'd hop on and just see who's out there. At the moment, really nobody, but that's okay. I'm gonna pull this a little closer. I just have my phone propped up against some books on a little table, so it may fall over. I hope not. I hope not. Well, someone gave a thumbs up. I don't know who thumbed up, but there it is. Yeah, so hello, whoever's out there. Um, yeah, I'm just killing some time here, and, uh, and why not? Why not? You know what I'm going to do though, actually. Let's see, we got some. Hey, Don C. Hello, Hungar. How are you doing? How are you guys doing? Uh, and DM Kurt. So I've got is the phone for the broadcast and my computer to watch the chat because um, the chat is. If I look at the chat on the phone, all you get is my forehead, right? As I lean in, and the laptop is too old and too sclerotic to try to live stream from. But, so what I was going to do actually here, I thought I might do, is, and I should have thought of this before I sat down. I'm going to grab my Dungeon 23 uh, and uh, and do a little work on that and chat through that. Yeah, I know, Don. See, not a great live stream time, but it's great for the folks in Britain. So hopefully some of the Brits can join. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, it's good to see some folks on. There were 7 people on. That's fabulous. I guess I'm one of them because I'm watching on here. So I'm watching. I'm one of myself. But hello to everybody. I've been working on my on the Dungeon 23 thing, and I have to say I'm not doing it the way you're supposed to. It's supposed to be, one room a day, and you finish the room that day, move on to the next day. I've been every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks or more. I rush to catch up, and I do a whole bunch of rooms, and I sketch it all out, and I try to fill it all in, and I'm a bit behind. So for instance, I just recently finished May. Yeah, I can be able to see that at all. I just finished May uh, yesterday. So it's pretty standard stuff. The fifth floor, because it's one level of the dungeon per month. I'm not going to show the first couple because at at the GWOC, the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention, the dungeon I'm going to run is going to be the first couple of levels of this dungeon. So it's going to be very, kind of gonzo mega dungeon. But I'm sure in one session we're not going to get down to the third level. So that's going to be there's a sort of a labyrinth area there, more caves, etc. Um, there's this large circular feature. That's actually an elevator which comes from the second floor all the way down to the fifth with no interruptions in between. So it shoots down. And the fourth is more standard, kind of standard dungeon. I had a very fun thing, I think, on the fourth floor in this hallway, which I think is pretty cool. It's a series of niches. In the first one, there's a little column, a little plinth, and on top of which is a gem. And it's a clear gem, so it's like a diamond. In the next 5 niches, there are statues of dragons, and there's a white dragon, a black dragon, blue, green. And if you take the gem, and each of those dragons has their hand out, like a claw out like this, and if you take that gem and you put it into the hand of any of those statues, and they're painted, they're colored, the right color. If you put it in to the claw of any of those dragons, the claw will close around it. The gem will turn the color of the dragon, and then a door at the end of the hallway. It's actually is it a portcullis? Yeah, it's a no. It's a door. It's a hidden door. That door will slide up and give access to a chamber in which a dragon lives. The color of the dragon is whatever you put the gem into the hand of. I thought that was fun. Um, And it's one of those things where normally I try to work it out like logically, how does this work, right? It doesn't because the dragon doesn't show up until you put the gem. You don't know what color it is. So it's totally magic and weird. Hello, Steve. Hello, Mage. Mage's musing. Um, my move silently sucks. Yeah, yeah. It sucks because of all the chanting. I can't move silently because I have to be chanting in Gregorian chant. Uncle Brat, you're shocked. I'm sorry to see you. I don't mean to shock you. I certainly don't mean to shock you. Um, again, like I said at the outset, which I mean, I know not everyone was tuned in for yet because I did surprise everyone. I just had some time today. I'm at a clergy conference in beautiful Orillia, Ontario, with a view. Well, I have a view of a tree. I'll show you my view. My view is of a tree. That's what I can see from my room. But through the trees, I can actually get a glimpse of the lake. There's a lovely lake here. It's actually a nice place, and the food is really good. And I ate way too much of it, so I don't feel like going on a walk with my friend who said, "Hey, you want to go for a hike?" I'm like, "No, no, I want to go for a sit." So I've got some time. So yeah, so I thought, hey, you know what, I'll go ahead and do it. The Cornish Crusade, yes, that's what. There you go. I like to go. I like to be doing things at different times here. But again, I had the time and I thought, nice. It is a nice room. It is a nice room, Tonka, and it's a nice tree, Uncle Brad. Hello, Adam. And I had the time in the middle of the day. And we have free time to go do whatever, and not having the energy to go hiking, I thought I'd go live streaming. And I did think, you know what, the Brits will be able to tune in. That'll be good. Because that's the second always, and every demographic I see from the analytics from YouTube, the USA is the top source of traffic, but closely not closely followed, but followed next by Britain. Canada, we're way down there. Let's see, Gregorian stealth chant. Snigstrome stealth traum, creepy by the gendarmes. Yeah. So what's next for our HOH? HOH. Oh, Heroes of Honeywood. Aha, what's next for the Heroes of Honeywood? That has been, you know what? That has been a bit of a development because they're jumping into things that I had. There's several things that I sort of tucked away for future, and which I planned and sort of set aside. And because they went a different path than the one I anticipated them taking, I kind of figured based on their previous actions, I kind of thought, oh, they'll probably go this way, and then they didn't. So I've had to adjust on the fly, which is fine. But what that's meant is I'm bringing some things in which had been meant for later. So what's next? Well, the latest you've seen, they've gotten past, and if you haven't seen it, like stop watching this and go watch the latest recorded episode, Paranoia, which is up for about a day and a half now, maybe 2 days. Um, they've made it through the dungeon through the skull, right? That's behind the skull. It's not a huge dungeon complex, but it had a lot of, I think, cool features. I think a lot of things that gave them some pause, and they got really, really paranoid about it. But they're through now. It ended up being that this valley was blocked off. At the end of the valley was blocked off before you could exit to the east, and so they had to go through the tunnels. They've done that, and now last we heard on the episode, although we have played past this, they are in the cave after they've defeated the spiders, and they're about to go out into the world beyond, which they will discover if you know the map at all, which I don't know why you would, but there it is. They're about to come out into the forest, the great forest, in which our friend Parson Supple, one of the priest in Honeywood, when he was an adventurer as a cleric, because he's fourth level cleric, he and his group adventured in this area. And it was in this area that he and his group faced a wraith. which he tried to turn and failed, and that wraith then went on to kill one of their party, and he has never forgiven himself, and that's why he doesn't adventure anymore. It's the same wraith. Anyway, um, there it is. Has it been properly checked for invisible biting horses? Well, I don't know about biting horses, but it does have a big biting fireplace. So the thumbnail for this, if you saw the thumbnail for it, or if you're over on the Facebook page, or the or Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, I posted a picture. They have a fireplace which honestly looks like a bit like the green devil face from the Tomb of Horrors. Uh, what will the Benedictines think? Let's see. Are they getting jaded at all? The heroes? No. You know what? They're not. Um, Paranoid, but not jaded. My middle guy really, he's the one who started it in the last adventure. He really got it into his head that I was out for a TPK. I don't know why he thought that, but he really got it into his head, and he sort of his thing infected everyone else, and they were all like, "He's trying to kill us. The door is a mimic." Ah, it's funny. Um, well made, you know what? Yeah, that I have to say that the 30 to 40 minute runtime, I see that too, and I'm like, when am I going to have time for this? Just sitting down to watch it, I don't, you know. The next one ought to be much shorter. Not that that helps in catching up with anything. The next one was because actually the next one I recorded as part of the last episode, the paranoia episode. It was all recorded together. Um, Actually, you know, I might have recorded the whole. No, because we did stop. It was two sessions. Um, but what's coming is actually was done in the same session as the bit with the spiders and everything else. But I was editing along, and it wasn't even so much that the episode was getting long. It was over 30 minutes. But I looked at it and I said, if I keep doing this, this is going to add, another 15 minutes of video is going to add another, day of editing. I need to get this video out. So I cut it off. I cut it off before the episode. You're not a horrible friend, Mages Musings. You're just like everybody else. You get all sorts of. One of the things I also find is the more people sub to me, I like to sub back, right? And I find that I have subbed back to so many people that if I watched everything that everyone I sub to put out, I would be spending 23 hours a day watching video, because I just sub to a whole bunch of people. Um, there it is. One thing, watching my videos, what you could do is YouTube could let you adjust what speed you watch them at. Put me at double time. I'll talk really fast like that, and you'll get it all done. We'll take half the time. Um, let's see. And here's Hungar. He's trolling for people for his show. That's cool. Um, are we still a long way from Morag? You know what? Morag's coming closer. Morag's coming closer. Um, Lightning Bolt was a huge part of getting them closer to facing Morag. Um, you you got to have some weaponry, right? And you got to have some weaponry that can take some hit points up because in Beckme, Dragon Breath does as many hit points as the dragon has left. And this is the complexity of running a dragon in Beckme because aside from the breath weapon, or once the dragon has been knocked down a little bit, the breath weapon isn't even that. I mean, once the dragon's down to half their hit points, if you've got a reasonably good chance of making your saving throw, the dragon can't do that much damage to you. And their claw, their tail, their bite attacks, they don't do that much damage. Now, they're smart, they have spellcasting ability, and a DM needs to play them as a smart opponent, especially the larger ones. The smaller dragons, especially the small white ones, they are lower intelligence. You can get away with playing them more like animals, but your big, powerful dragons, they're smart, and see, you play them smart. But in terms of firepower, they're really not that tough. There are things with far more hit points and far deadlier attacks found even in the expert book, right? Than basic book dragons. So, um, how the back me, it's all the individual books, right? Basic, expert, companion, a basic expert companion, master, immortal. So they introduce dragons in basic, but then they bring them back in companion in the larger versions. Um, yeah, so while you can find tougher creatures in the expert set, which do more hit points of damage, which have more hit points, that breath weapon, and it says that they will always use their breath weapon as their first attack, and of course they will. They're at full strength or the highest strength. Even if you hit them first, they're as tough as they're going to be in the fight. That's where they're going to use it, right? And it's going to do the most damage, and it can wipe out a party because you got a cone or you got a cloud for the green dragon, the poisonous gas. You get a cone for white dragon or red dragon. You could wipe out your party in one hit, right? Even if they make their saving throws, you could wipe them out at certain levels, right? So, yeah, the party has to be real savvy not to start a fight until they're pretty sure they can win it. Asian Chipmunk Dungeon Minister? I have no idea what that means. Oh, speeding me up. Yes, yes. Well, that's how they did the Chipmunks, the old Alvin Simon Theodore. They just recorded people and then sped it up. I did that when I was a kid. I had a dual deck boombox because I was cool, and I would record myself in one, and then I would do it. You could copy tapes, right? You could copy from one tape to another, and the instructions said turn the volume down when you do this because you could high speed record, right? Turn the volume down. Well, I turned the volume up and it was hilarious. So I would record myself talking in a really slow voice, and then I would speed it up, and it came out like this sort of chipmunk voice. It's hilarious. Hello, Ian. You know what? This party has no start. It has no end. This party is just me being random. I've got some time in the middle of my conference. We were given some time, some free time, so I'm having fun with it. Um, Indeed, Steve. Prayers indeed for Mage. I did not know about that. See, there you go. I'm also a bad friend because I haven't watched as much as I should. I know that you were ill, but I didn't know there was blood work involved. Oh, routine tests. Okay. Okay. Good. 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 Yeah, I've got to go every 3 months to go get to go to Life Labs, and you know what? I just I put it off and I put it off, and I'm like, oh, I'm just too busy. I got too much going on, and my doctor's like, you need to get the blood work done, because I can't re-prescribe the medication until you. And I'm like, oh, I'll get there, and I never go. It's just ridiculous. Um, it is a pain in the butt, though. It is really a pain in the butt. Do I patronize anyone on YouTube? I do. Um, Before I started my own Patreon, I had a couple of folks that I supported. Um, I support Battle and Barrow and the Dungeon Delver, and those two I supported for particular reasons in the moment and at the time, and I still am happy to do so. Battle and Barrow, because my kids, he's another one. And Mage's Musing is one too, where um, I know I can set my kids up with it and they're going to be fine. Like, I'm not all flustered about, language and whatnot. But I made a decision early on for my channel that it would be family friendly. And because I'm doing it for my kids, right? And plus, I'm wearing a collar while I'm doing it. I should probably not go cussing a blue streak, which I am more than capable of doing. Um, Most clergy I know swear like sailors when no one's watching. I'm no exception. But Battle and Barrow, I had found again. I think I was watching him. It was after I'd started my channel, but it was only a month or two in, and he found me and commented, and so I started watching his stuff, and I could set my kids up with that, and you know The only words they hear that confuse them are things like quid or you know nappy or something like that, British terms, and then they're just confused, not horrified and confused. And Delver because I just love hanging out there, the community, the sense of friends that are there. It's lovely stuff. So that's who I patronize. How well do I think they'd take the ultimate demise of the heroes of Honeywood? You know what, Mage? I don't know. I think so. Long ago, I had some bandits intercepted them on the road and took all their stuff, and my middle guy was not happy. I went down several papa points that day, right? Um, so killing them, I don't know. I don't know. Now they have played a good deal since then, and they're all older, and yeah, yeah. I don't know how they take it. I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting those characters because they play a number of campaigns. They run games for each other. We have a Hollow World that we're all playing. My eldest DMs. Um, they all play other stuff, but I think the Honeywood characters are the ones they live in. The Honeywood characters are the ones that's their touch point with it, and then they do some other stuff. So I don't think they'd be happy at all. Yes, pick up a non-player character in front of the party and drop them from a height. That is the thing. That is the main. I mean, like that kind of play with a dragon is really tough. But then they're flying around. Again, there are much chonkier things in D&D in terms of hit points. But it's that cleverness in the play. Yeah. Yes, I did. I remember the chipmunks on repeat. Um, yeah, mages. There's an ability to slip in a mature gag that kids don't notice, right? That flies over their heads. That's just or under the radar, whichever way that works. But yeah, yes, yes. Merlinster Gandalor flipping off the Demilich. You know what, Mark? Oddly, they took that in stride. I mean, they weren't happy about it, losing levels to the Wraith. They weren't happy about it at all. Um, and this may be the source of middle guy's paranoia that I'm trying to kill them all. Um, my eldest, he worked very hard to be philosophical about it, how little he cared about levels. It really didn't matter to him. But, when his brother can shoot lightning bolt and he can cast three magic missiles to his one, right? I think he cared. I think he cared. Yeah. Yeah, Steve, like I don't mind the politics. Does get my blood pressure up, and even when I'm watching someone I agree with, I'm like, it still makes me angry. But and the language doesn't bother me. Like again, I don't have a big problem with it, but in terms of setting my kids down in front of it, you want your kids to be better than you, right? I want my kids to be better than I am. Anyway, so I'm gonna. What did I do with it? Here it is. Yeah, I'm working on. I just finished the map for May, and I did something to myself, which I mean I can offset and that'll work, but I put in here. You see this huge gash in the floor. I put in a huge gash with the lava at the bottom of it, and sort of cracks of doom kind of thing. But I realized as I did that chunk of the map is gone for me. I can't put anything under that anymore. you know, until like about three levels down, maybe even down at the 12th level, down in December. I'm going to put the pool of lava underneath it all, so that if you fell in, you'd fall, you know, well, you'd fall 6 months into December. You fall 6 levels down or 7 levels. But I just realized I blocked off that whole corner of the map. I really can't put anything there um, because there's lava there. But then if it's a shaft, if it's a crack that goes down to a lava pool, then I can put stuff closer to it. But I'll have to mark off on each level. There's nothing there because you said there's a drop down to lava. And while it's kind of a gonzo dungeon, I don't want it to be that gonzo. So now I've got to get a staircase in down to 6. Staircase down to 6. What does your boss think of your channel? Have you mentioned it? Have they seen it? You know what? Yes, actually, the bishop is all about mission, about reaching out to people beyond the institutional church. And so, even if there was a problem, I think I could excuse it on that basis. And I will admit there's a certain part of me that did start this on the basis of reaching out to people, because I could see how much anger there still was over the satanic panic. It really is still a lot of anger about it. And so I thought, you know what? That's why I do it specifically in my collar. That's why I'm the dungeon minister, not just the dungeon dad. Um, but so I think I could probably get it to fly under that. Like, yeah, I'm just doing mission and outreach stuff. Um, but yeah, if there was a problem, which there isn't. Um, let's see. Do you create, design, determine what your maps will be yourself, or do you use a random generator and see what comes? Well, Mage, generally I do my own maps. I do all my own stuff, but there was a couple of them in there when they were looking to try to find Evalio's hideout, and they ended up finding where he had been headquartered. This was the one with the water weird where Bob Johnny gets pulled in. The entrance of the dungeon was flooded, and there was a crypt in there and some other things. Those ones, both of them I did use a dungeon generator. The same, it's Watabu or Watabo. I don't know how you say it. It's a website that I use to generate the cities. Also has a dungeon generator. I generally don't. I generally do my own, but that was fun. Now that would be the Dungeon 23 done with an automatic dungeon generator. Just once a month, plug in, give me a 30, 28, 31 room dungeon on one level. Go. Yeah. That might be cheating. That might be cheating. Hello, Shadow. And Son, how are you doing? Yes, I've gotten a huge pay raise for reaching out. Yeah, not so much. It's other duties as assigned. Tunka, are you going to let the players keep their new magic weapons, or do they have to leave the enchanted weapons in the dragon to prevent its rise again? Oh, that would be nice. I never thought about that. You know what? Maybe the bow is specifically a bow of, against dragons. This Sigemund's bow was specifically to kill dragons. Now the bow obviously doesn't go into the beast as the arrows do. Um, the axe was Hrothgar's axe. Now, did it actually belong to Hrothgar, or is it something attached to the story, to the mythos later? We don't know. That could end up having to remain buried in the. Or between now and then, maybe I give them new magic weapons. I like the idea. The thing has to stay embedded in it. Let's see. Everyone's just seeing each other in the chat. I love that. I stood in mind the same way I have since I was 10, thinking I need to modernize. You know what, Steve? If it works, right? Why have to modernize? I'm not modernizing what game system I use. I'm not going to modernize how I do the dungeons. I did those two kind of just for fun to see what the thing would spit out, and because they were sort of minor adventures, like it wasn't a big, huge thing. I knew I didn't want them to have a final showdown with Evalio yet because they're not ready for it. But so I knew he was going to elude them somehow. But but the little dungeons I did were fun. Like you just hit the button and go, and then the creativity becomes not making the dungeon but filling it in. You know, I hope so too. Shadow and Sun. I don't know if it's Shadow and Sun or just Shadow today or just Sun, but hello to whichever review it is. I think it's Shadow. What do you think of the rise of AI? Chat GPT take over from from live DMs? From what I've seen, no, but then it's early days. Who knows? I mean, what I think about AI and its impact on the creative world is a version of what I think about church organs. Um, the church I'm in now has a pipe organ, actual wind going through actual pipes. The church I was at previous had an electric organ. So the console looks the same, the organist plays it the same, but on the other end, instead of being connected to a wind chest and whatnot and feeding wind through real pipes, it just plays kind of like a really, really big keyboard, electric keyboard. Um, and the organist we had at that church called it the toaster. And, it sort of was a toaster. They have since put in pipe organs, pipes. I think there's something about the genuine um, imperfection, the quirkiness, there's a quirkiness that comes with AI. Make no mistake. I mean, those hands to begin with. Um, I had. I wish I could show you. It's on the phone. I wish I could show you. I'll post a picture of this. The boys wanted me to go to one of those AI art generators, a hugging face or something like that, and and put in the names of their characters. So I put in, Fleetwood the elf, Bob Johnny the elf, and they came up with some weird results, really weird results. So there's some quirk that comes with that as well, but I don't think that it will ever completely replace. Partly because the DMs will want to do it. You can go do solo adventures with a AI DM, I suppose. For that matter, you can do a solo adventure. You buy a module and just be good and not peek ahead. You could do it that way. It's clunky and weird, but we do have a community of familiar faces here. Teach AI to play D&D is how we're going to prevent Skynet from wiping this out. No. Have you not heard of the TPK mage? I think that's what happened. It was that the Skynet learned how to play Dungeons and Dragons and then went for the TPK. Good, Steve. Hello, Squirrel Herman. How are you doing? Oh, wow. Cool, Shadow. Junior Otzi. ROTC is always what we called it when I was in university. It's his second day of summer vacation. Well, God bless him 6 ways from Sunday. That's fabulous. Excellent, Calvin. Excellent. There was some awesome treasure under there for them that they didn't go exploring because they defeated the water weird. They got it to leave them alone. It swam away, melted away, whatever water weirds do. But and I was gonna say that the thing actually slipped out through the groundwater to go further away, so they could have gone down to look for the treasure. But they didn't even think that there would be treasure down there. I don't think they even kind of put that together. I'm glad that you stole it though. That's fabulous. You didn't steal it. You just used it. It was laying out there for anyone. Robustly blessed squirrel. Robustly. Yes. I love that. Cool. Let's see. I got my. Where did I put it? I'm old. I need to do this to see. Got a staircase coming down here. Came down that way, so we're gonna put the door. Actually, we're gonna put the door there. It's gonna go out that way. White, a blank page or canvas. 6:01. There's June 1st. Done. Not gonna be anything in there. I'm gonna come out. Okay, what sort of theme should we have on the sixth floor? The fifth floor was fire, all sorts of fiery creatures. Oh, being someone to read The Amazing Adventures of the Years of Honeywood. Good night, Adam. I hope that you have a good one and blessings to your family. I have not invited any other clergy to play. You know what? As I came up to this conference, I thought about it. I've got my bag of stuff because I'm also prepping some stuff for my family game. I thought about it. I thought about actually running, something with this Dungeon 23 before Guac so that I have a chance to try it out, right? Um, and I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. No. Ho, ho, ho. That was ho, ho. You know what? It might be Fontanka. It might, or it might just be horribly, horribly depressing. One of the two. Could the dragon be controlled by an be being controlled by an NPC? Defeat the master, gain control of the dragon. Ooh. Perhaps make a deal with the dragon for its freedom. Reward the roleplay storyline. That's nice. That's nice. There's something going on. I did leave it laying about, didn't I, Kelvin? There's something going on there, Charmaine. I try to keep my cards close to my chest on that one. Though I do have a question. um, Speaking of acronyms, HOH, I'm seriously considering running a little mini convention in sort of September October area, Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing. And my stumbling block is the name. What on earth would I name it? Because I can't name it like HoneyCon. That sends all the wrong vibes. And WoodCon, that's even worse. Um, and HoneywoodCon is too long. Um, I was thinking of your basic convention, because it would, we play Beck Me Con, but I don't want a Clergy Con. Well, I'm at Clergy Con. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to limit it according to rule system. By calling it like Beck Me Con would suggest that you're only playing Beck Me here, which would not be the case. That would be sort of any of the old school. It might be kind of nice if it was a bunch of the more sort of rules light um, things. Basics probably rules heavy compared to a lot of them. The Holy Rollers Con, Claricon. Ooh, Claricon. That's kind of nice. Claricon is good. That's going in the hopper right there. Claricon. Um, Adventures in the North Con. Adventures in the North. Got some viewers who are much further north from me. It's like Jon Snow talking about the North, and he means Winterfell, and then the Wildlings are like, "That's not the North." ClackerCon, the clacking of the dice being thrown. ClackerCon. Well, that's what occupies my mind when I'm trying to get to bed at night. I'm trying to get to sleep at night. Is what to call the darn thing. So okay, I've got a level of the dungeon that was fire. I don't want to go through all the elements, but I started out with far more sort of common monsters that would have wandered in from the surface. The last level had no outlet to the outside. The fourth level does. I think it's the last level that outlets to the exterior. Although I could put one in, um, directly to the exterior from that on that level. So, uh, Questonomic, Quest, that's up there with. You're opting for Clericon. That's up there with Merlinster Ganderlore, Mage. I don't know if I can even say that. Queston, Quest, Quest, oh, Questonomicon. Thank you for breaking it down for the less intelligent, namely me. Questonomicon. Yeah. I could call it BillCon just to annoy Bill Sylvie. Um, let's see. What's on this level, folks? What's on this level? What's on this level? Give me a general, give me the big bad or the kind of environment. Um, is it a necropolis? Is it a necropolis level? Is it full of fungoids? Maybe it's a level of oozes and slimes. Questonomicon does have a good ring to it. Nom 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 nom. Clericon. Church mandated quests. Gelatinous cube, Charmaine, on this level. Okay. You know what? I haven't put a cube in anywhere here. I actually haven't done any oozes at all. Did I? No, no, I did. I did. Not ooze, a mold. I did a yellow mold on one of the levels. I don't remember which one. Um, Insects, both giant and normal sized. Monster fighting pit where the champions fight for their tribe's right to rule the level. The Clericon is pulled ahead here. Okay. Giant insects, gelatinous cube, and a monster fighting pit. Could have. Okay, so we need some insectoid humanoids. That's what I need. Are there any insects? Any bug-like humanoids? I can't think of any. We got lizards. We got dogs. We got whatever goblins are. Hello, Sean Hall. We need some. Well, I could just make up a buggy humanoid, and that's who governs this level. A three Kreen, okay, that's a AD&D thing. I can port it over easily enough. Um, they run this level. Chitines, insect-like humanoids. Thank you. The creature catalog ought to have something Iridian. Um, and they run this level and they have a fighting pit and there's gonna have to be access to the outside. This this hill is getting holes all over it now. Ow. And they go out and they capture other creatures and bring them back to fight against giant insects. And these giant insects are like make the ones in the basic and expert books look like, house pets. These things are real monsters. Chitin. The Pew live chat should become. There we go. The Pew. OSE. Greetings, grumpy old slan. I failed my own surprise roll. I just started up PewCon. Ew, he stinks. All right, so we got an insectoid level. That is not going to be nice square rooms. Our staircase will come down into a nicely squared room. There'll be a small squared room area of the dungeon that's like structured, but then the walls will break down and it'll go into more of a cavern area where the insect creatures have taken over the whole level. But some intelligence, and the descent to the seventh level will be in the more structured area. So maybe I'll do up to today. The sixth today. The first six rooms will be structured, standard dungeon rooms. I love standard dungeon, like a dungeon like you have under your house. We call it the basement, but the more sort of normal dungeon rooms, and the insects will have their own world. The insects will have their own world. This is going to come out. Oh, there is going to be no. It's the insects have burrowed to the surface. That's why their entrances are not very well known. Listening to Chipmunk Minister at the moment. Excellent. You have a good rest of your day, Steve. You have a good rest of your day. So 602. And there's going to be some guardian in that first room, something that will give them. The stair room won't have anything in it. The first room's going to have some. The next room, rather, is going to have some sort of guardian. What was this? It was a storage area. This was a storage area once upon a time. So there's a large open room. Maybe casks of ale were kept here. I like storage for beer. I don't drink beer at all. I don't care for beer, but but I like storing it for some reason. And this is the wall. This is the wall that's broken down. Yeah. So we have a bunch of tumble down debris in this corner, and that's 603. Okay, down south of 602, maybe there was their offices for the cellarer, office and living space for the cellarer. He didn't have a separate office. He just one room. That'd be the cellarer's office. So now I just have 605 over here. I have a couple of secondary rooms to store maybe specialty products that they didn't want mixing in with the general stuff. Not big, not big. And of course, who knows what beasties have taken over in these areas. Okay. And then 606 is this cavern which is opened up here, and it has a multiplicity of pathways out of it because these bugs kind of skitter in and out everywhere. And it looks like almost like a hand from some sort of horror movie. And that brings me to today. So I'll show you what I got. Show you what I got. I'll see here. Hello, Tommy Die. Okay, I gotta scroll up here. Lots of giant spiders of all varieties. Yes, yes. Something with an Umber Hulk. Ooh, that's right. That is a kind of buggy looking thing, isn't it? I read a book by Alan Dean Foster called Nor Crystal Tears. It was about an alien insect race. Cool. Ariane in the creature catalog. Intelligent magic using spiders. There we go. Alan Dean Foster, mostly known for his movie adaptations, but his own work is way better. Uh, and lots of people saying hello. That's fabulous. All right, I'm going to show you what I got. All right, I can see you can see this. I'm going to, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Now, can I see this? It, yeah. Okay. So there it is. That's what I got so far. That's what I got so far. Got your staircase room down into a first storage room. There's the cellarer's office. There's where most of the kegs were kept, and then some specialty products. Maybe the whiskeys and whatnot were in these. But here, something is broken in, and it's going to branch off into a whole bunch of, just a labyrinthine mess of tunnels, and probably somewhere around. I can't get too far because that shaft for the volcano is here, but maybe up here or over here will be the fighting pit. Cool. I'm not going to fill it in now because I do that on my computer, and that would absolutely grind my ability to follow what's happening to a halt. Because this computer can really only handle one thing at a time, and it really can't even handle one difficult thing at a time. The hive brood, different type of same insect creature with different functions. Is that also in the creature catalog, Ian? Because I have a creature catalog. I have a creature catalog. All right. Oh well. It's been an interesting conference so far. We have a poet with us who he seems to navigate the world between poetry and the church, and he takes the church lightly in the best possible way, you know. Sees in the faith a sort of holy playfulness, maybe. Anyway, it's good. It's been interesting. It's been interesting. In general, I don't like conventions, and I don't like sitting around in meetings and things like that. So I'm always at the back, sitting on the floor, scribbling scribbling away in a book, so doing something. But I do enough to stay out of trouble. Anyway, so going to be a reading later. That sounds cool. Go to a poetry concert. He's been working poetry, both his and other people's, in throughout the event. Actually, he read a piece of poetry by a little girl, like 7 or 8 years old. Um, she was when she wrote the poem. This was years and years and years ago. It was during, as I say, the Troubles in Ireland, and she had found in it must have been it was a passage of scripture, and I can't remember what passage it is now. That it was that she found in a passage of scripture. So her father worked for the British government in North Ireland, and he had been targeted for attack by the IRA, and so their house was shot up, etc. And so this little girl, she had a passage of scripture, and she found, like picking out words in the text and just highlighting just those words. Um, it was a a passage of that was of comfort and safety. She found in there, my enemies know my home, they see me, or my enemies see me, they know my home. They know my house. Was it the 23rd Psalm? It was the 23rd Psalm. Anyway, it was from the Good News version, which is sort of a paraphrase of scripture. But yeah, she picked out this poetry from the psalm. You could tell how much attention I was paying. I had just eaten Arby's on my way up, so I was a little bloated. But it was enemies see me, they know my house. That's what it was. My enemies see me, they know my house. And for, in the middle of this psalm of comfort and reassurance, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, you know, um, to pick that out in there, it's a bit scary. Slow day at the graveyard. Hello, Steve. Steve is back from the graveyard. Is that a literal graveyard, Steve, or is that just your nickname for work? I think it would be interesting to work in a graveyard. I mean, I do a lot of work in graveyards, but I don't. It's not my workplace. Poetry made me think Hitchhiker's Guide. On the level, there are trolls reciting really, really bad, like check your sanity, bad poetry. Yeah, Steve, we haven't seen you in minutes, forever. It's been forever. Yeah. So anyway, the speaker's interesting. His poetry runs in that kind of place. Um, and you may have picked up on the channel. I have a sort of fascination with poetry. The poem of the skeleton in armor. If you saw that episode, the skeleton in armor poem that launched them off on this quest. Um, there's another one coming up, which is actually in the latter portion of the last session we played, which I've recorded but have yet to edit. Um, so that's gonna be an interesting. It's gonna launch a whole thing. Adam was asking earlier about where we were going. It's gonna launch a whole, not huge quest, but a side quest, a significant side quest, and a side quest with consequences, consequences. No. Yes, you work in a graveyard. Mostly do landscaping and arbor work. Every now and then help with burials, but not often. Vogon, an ancient Pictish word for troll. Hello, Lightmane. How are you doing? If that is true, Grumpy, that's the most fabulous fact I've heard all year. Um, so, Steve, you actually work at so like I see your equivalent in in cemeteries, graveyards all over the place. Respectfully waiting at a distance and not doing your work while there's a funeral happening, so there's not a lawnmower coming through. But I was kind of waiting around, just okay. Funeral's over. All right, I'll go. Ooh, squirrel. That is some. Yay. Firmly tongue in cheek. Well, it would have been nice if it were true. A cave with skeletons. One of the skeletons is embedded in a stalagmite carrying a magic weapon and armor. How did the party obtain the items? And what happens when you break him out or her out? What happens? What does this skeleton do? No, Lightmane, I am at a clergy conference. It's about 2 hours north of where I live. For some reason, we leave our diocese when we have our diocesan clergy conference. Um, I think it's so that none of us will wander back to the office to try to do work, but we all just bring our computers and do work anyway. Um, but yeah, so I'm up in Orillia, it's called, a little town up north. On a hello, Bill. We're planning BillCon. No, Claricon. Um, and yeah, it's a lovely place. It's a resort out on a spit of land that goes out into the water. So, oh, God bless you. God bless you, Bill. Cold bottle of sacramental wine on me. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. They do have a bar here, and I might get something to go up to the room because I have to say, too much socializing with priests is bad for my health. Um, yeah, no, it's a lovely place though. This little resort, and actually out my window, past the tree, I can see some little cottage. They have a little line of cottages, which looks like how they started, and then they started building proper buildings around it, and I'm in one of the big buildings. That's a huge room. It's ridiculous. Next year I'm going to smuggle my family in. We're going to treat it like a vacation. Hence why I decided to do a live stream precisely. Well, also the other sort of we're in this break time, and the other things on offer were like taking a hike, and I'm just so tired. I'm just so old. I'm just so 50. Bar full of clergy equals real life opening to a game. Yeah, yeah. You wander into a village, you find the local pub, and it's full of clerics, old clerics who've long since stopped adventuring. See you, Road March. See you, Road March. Actually, I didn't see you in here until then, but it's lovely to have had you here. I mean, if you were being very quiet there, I saw you in the chat, but lovely to see you. Hello, GM Jacko. Oh, roll for initiative. Yeah, it's a whole other issue rolling for initiative here. Um, so, Bill, we were earlier talking, and Light Main folks who showed up more recently, we're trying to name potential mini convention that I want to hold in late September, early October. And so far, Claricon is up there. Questonomicon was proposed, as was Clackercon for the sound of dice. PewCon, but that makes it sound like it's smelly, which it might be. Who knows? Um, yeah, Claricon seems to be winning the day. Initiative for social combat instead. Oh, GM Jacko, you've no idea. Oh, how many did you have for Easter? We had 350. Oh, we had 350 for Easter. A little low this year. Oh, I had 10. Holy DicerCon? Holy DicerCon. Holy Roller was suggested earlier. Squirrel Hermit suggested that. FatherCon? Yeah, Well, like I said, I was trying to name it after Honeywood somehow, but HoneyCon and WoodCon are not good ideas, neither of them. Yeah, Claricon seems to be winning it. Claricon seems to be winning it. And I don't want to give people the impression that, it's a religious event. I mean, you've seen the channel. Um, it's run by a priest, but not. I don't go into, at least not overtly. I don't go into. I don't know, Mage. PewCon's pretty funny. I kind of like it. The Honeywood Festival. It doesn't have to have. Doesn't have to have the word con in it, I suppose. HeroCon. HeroCon's good. Although HeroCon would make me think it's going to be like a Marvel superhero kind of thing. I'm thinking. All roll up evil characters. Actually, during one of the sessions, the speaker, this poet, Padraig O'Tuam. Tuam? Yeah. He's Irish, don't you know? Though he doesn't sound like that at all. No actual Irish people sound like this. Um, he he said, what we want to do is write a collect, it's a kind of prayer, write a collect from the perspective of one of the disreputable characters in Scripture. Someone wrote a collect as, from the point of view of Satan, which was an interesting one. Well, first we chose disreputable characters, and this guy chose Satan, and then it said, now write a collect from the perspective of the character you chose, and I'm going to regret having chosen that. But people were writing, as Judas, as, things like that. It was interesting. Claricon does roll off the tongue pretty well. There's already a HeroCon. Yeah, I would be surprised if there wasn't, and it would be like a superhero thing, I would imagine. Um, Slap a D20 on the logo, folks will definitely get the gist. There you go. Make sure that it has a D20 so people know it's not actually a convention of priests. Yeah, I'll have to wear red robes at the table. Aaron Con. No, any of my teachers who saw it would say, "Yeah, I figured out he'd end up being a con." I don't think that was going to happen. The Dungeon Minister's Cloister. I like this. Should put Mage on the naming committee. A D20 with a halo. Well, I could do my channel logo with the D20 for a head, but add a halo to it. Cloister Con. Everyone else understands. We need a virgin to sacrifice. It's just crickets. Aaron Con versus Bill Con. There's a cosplay at the con. You should dress up as the bishop from the Monty Python skit. The ring, Vic. Don't touch the ring. Yeah, and then pictures of that get out, and I'm called up on the carpet. What are you doing? Breakaway diocese? Run a seminar on how to play clerics, how to embrace the religious aspect. How to embrace the religious aspect of your cleric character without actually compromising your own faith. Well, true love will follow you forever. Marriage. Marriage, that blessed arrangement. That dream within a dream. It's Peter Cook, I think that was. The impressive clergyman. Very fun. Very fun. Dungeon Minister's Cloister. What was the other one that's Claricon's, obviously, Honeywood Festival. It does not. The interesting thing is there actually is a Honeywood a little bit north of us. I mean, it's a speck on the map. It barely shows up. Crusader of the Faith. They're just fighters. You're right. I mean, people play it as a fighter spell, and that can be a dicey thing for the game because you end up with a player who won't do something. Like, no, I'm not going with you guys on that. I can't. Or no, we have to go do this because even even playing our Hollow World campaign. Now my son has taken the Palace of the Silver Princess and just ported it into Hollow World, right? Um, and we came across somebody. We took them prisoner, and yeah, my middle guy was like, "We got to kill him. We got to kill him, or they're gonna, they're gonna turn on us and they're gonna stab us in the back. We got to kill him right away." And I said, "Yeah, no, you know, I'm lawful. I don't know what you guys are, what alignments you chose, but no, I can't. I have to. We can't kill them." And I end up standing against other members of the party. He said, "No, I'm not letting you do it." It's a fun thing. I'd never read it. I'd never read Silver Princess at all. I printed it off. I got it online and I printed it off to give to my eldest because he was running games for his brothers, and he just was hungry for that kind of. Um, and so I gave it to him. I also printed it off when I put a copy of the basic rules in the little free library. I included Palace of the Silver Princess in it and Horror on the Hill, maybe, or Keep on the Borderlands. One of those. I can't remember now. It was months ago, but I know Silver Princess was one of them. So I printed off a second for my boy, and I never read it, but we got to this part where there was a flooded room with all this water in it, and these bubble creatures came out and attacked. And afterward, the other two boys were like, "Well, there's nothing in here. Let's go." And I said, "No, no, no, no. This is an old school dungeon. There's treasure under that water. I guarantee there's treasure under that water." Yeah. Lawful cleric of Alona swore never to travel with certain others because they acted dishonorably. Yeah. Um, and it doesn't even always have to be a sort of like purity thing. There's compulsions and requirements, things that have to be done in certain seasons. Fasting during Lent, for instance. There's things that just happen that can end up being mechanics in the game. Yes, Echo, you're right. You can't be like, you know, um, it can't come. It has to be characters in opposition, not players in opposition, right? I mean, there's a healthy way to say no. I think we should do this. No, I think we should do that. But if it comes down to actual, you know, hostilities, then you're losing the thread. Yes, especially if Gary wrote it. I don't know who wrote it actually. I know so little about it. I printed it and handed it to him. I don't know much about it. How long will I be there? No, I'm just here till tomorrow. It's 2 days spread over three. So we arrive midday Monday and we leave after lunch on Wednesday. So after lunch tomorrow. So it's a short thing, but disruptive enough, which is part of. I'm glad I actually did it for timing's sake. But I was saying earlier that the last episode that I uploaded was part of a session that went longer, and I recorded that portion as well. But I didn't edit it because it was taking so long to edit. Its last one was a slog for some reason. It was taking so long to edit. I thought if I edit another 15 minutes of video, it's going to take me another day at least to do this. So I just cut it off after they defeated the spiders. So I actually have some more. It's going to be a short episode, which is nice because I'm not going to have much time to do the editing after having been here for 2 nights. Yeah, not good. Yes, it is. It's a 2 hour drive up here, two plus hours, and I do enjoy it. I kind of like. I go the back roads. I stay off the 400 series highways, which is like the I system in the U.S. I stay off the freeways, mostly because I don't like myself when I'm driving. I I I become a real jerk when I'm driving on a freeway. I'm not terribly pleasant when I'm driving on a normal highway, but on a freeway I'm really unpleasant. So I don't like myself when I'm like that. So I stay off the highways, off the freeways. And it's a pretty drive. It's a pretty drive. Yes, Steve, it is. Like if there's actually a substance to it, it it does make a difference. Father road rage, yeah, I, yeah, and it's like it's not even my behavior because I still stay within decency of driving, but I just seethe. I think it's the same thing as watching political news. I just the levels of stupidity get to me and I can't take it anymore. But yeah, I think really honestly next year I gotta suggest to the bishop or somebody that we should there should be a year where we bring our families along with and there's activities for the families to do during the middle of it because my boys would love it here. There's a pool, there's a basketball court, there's a little golf court, like a pitch and putt kind of golf court. There's the lake they could go canoeing on. Um, there's a bunch of priests they could bother, ask them if they wanted to play games. A penalty on my save versus idiots? Yes, yes. The seventh of the ability scores is patience, and I rolled low. Car Wars character. I am starting up. I don't know for my health or not. This Saturday, I'm starting up a Beck Me game at the local game shop, the friendly local game shop, the Hooded Goblin in Georgetown. I'm gonna. So if you're close to Georgetown, come join me. I'm gonna start up a campaign there. Just see what's good. That's where my eldest boy goes to play. They play 5e, um, and but I thought I have to come anyway because I got to sit there while he's. It's far enough from our house that it would be dumb to drive back and forth. Plus, he's the youngest in the group. It's a bunch of like 16, 17 year olds. He's 13. So I kind of like to be on hand, you know. Um, so I'm going to be there anyway. So then I'll run a game. I'll run a game. Well, your mother and I were on there. Oh, my heavens. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Father Aaron's Family Vacation Fund. Yes, I know, Ian. It's where we were trying to get that bypass built, but the Atlantic is much bigger than I imagined. No, not University of in the States. Georgetown, as in a town in Ontario, named after one of the Georges. I don't know who was king when it was founded, but it was a George, I'm pretty sure. But that's okay. Bill, you're such a good booster. You're such a good cheerleader. Thank you. I'm always terribly shy about making requests for money. Oh, I'm with you, Mage. Oh, thank you, Squirrel Hermit. That's very kind of you. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. That's very sweet. Roll out the Star Trek transporter. Oh, Bill's rattling the can. God bless him. Do tune in if you don't tune into the Delver. I know the Brits is probably impossibly late at night for you, but if you are able to, it's such a lovely kind of you know fun in the chat and Bill tells stories, war stories from the old days, and it's good fun. And Mage shows up with Hungar on his channel every once in a while. That tends to be in the middle of the day, and when I'm at work, I can put it on if I'm at my desk, you know, um, if I'm doing, the bulletin or something like that. I can tune in and at least listen. I can't comment much because. Well, you get you a warden's wand. That's a thing, verger's wands actually, and warden's wands as well. We have in the Anglican Church a position called the warden, who's one of the lay people who helps run the parish. And there's these sticks, warden's wands, and on big occasions, Christmas, Easter, your patronal feast or whatever, Saint so and so's day, the wardens will process in with their wands, and one has a crown on the top, and the other has a mitre on the top, and it's supposedly the people's warden and the rector's warden. But what it was originally for was in the days before they had pews, when people would just sort of stand around in the church and you whack, get out of the way, get out of the way. Procession coming through, get out of the way. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Ryan, no, actually, I'd say my wife is not steeped in Python at all. It's usually me, I have to say. It's usually me making any Python. Then it goes over the heads of the kids. There's some Python they actually are, conversant with. They know the cheese shop sketch. They know the parrot sketch quite well. The Ministry of Silly Walks, they enjoy that. And they will occasionally, when we're walking someplace, actually the other day, this past Sunday, a member of the parish, a young woman who's just released her first album, like kids to, oh, bless you, Light Main, God bless you, thank you. There's balloons. There's balloons with a one on there. Thank you, Light Main. Celebrate the first super chat from Light Main. That's why it's got balloons on it. That's fabulous. Hey, Kanik. Um, they're they're we were walking down to this pub. So she's had this CD she just released, and she's singing at local pubs, And on our way walking to the pub, the boys were doing silly walks. So the covered charge today. I have no control over Bill. I have no control over Bill. Wrong time of the week for me. So break. I can't pay attention. Oh, Steve, I hear you. I hear you. The other day, as I left the house, I was going to work, and as I was going out, my wife said, "Just so you know, there's no money until the 15th." When my paycheck comes in, we had spent it. We went out to lunch, or yeah, no, it was to dinner. That was the problem. Dinner costs more at the Mandarin. It's a Chinese buffet in southern Ontario. We'd gone out for dinner at the Mandarin, and she said, "Yeah, that wiped us out." So you're not going anywhere to get lunch today. Okay. So I know what you mean by that. I know what you mean by that. Yeah. I know, like, he's like, he's shaking people down. He's, it's fabulous. As a squirrel leers with a switchblade, cover charge, please. Squirrel Hermit, you aren't behind that meme that's going around with a squirrel holding a switchblade, are you? Is that you? Did you do that? I kind of hope you did. There you go, Bill. You should be taking a percentage. You should be taking a percentage. Maybe sorta. Well, no one's on the hook, no matter what Bill says. God bless him. Corralling lines of children and make the kids do silly walks. Yeah, and they have a blast, right? And then they actually are in line, aren't they? You can get them to, you know, if you meet them halfway and you play the game with them, play the game with them. A few minutes, you have an office team meeting. Oh, well, I'm at a clergy conference, so I'm at an extended team meeting. So I feel for you. the trust things, fall backward into someone's arms. Well, thankfully, both Me Too and COVID saw an end to falling back into people's arms. It's one good thing came out of it, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, and I have to say, in doing silly walks, our youngest wins. Bob Johnny wins because that kid is a muppet. I mean, my eldest is very stiff. He's very, stiff. My middle guy he's the athlete. He's the goer. He can climb, run, jump, everything. My youngest though is a muppet. He doesn't have any bones in his body, I swear. And the downside of that is like when he's putting peanut butter on his toast in the morning, it's like peanut butter everywhere. He's the one who'll fill up. He's pouring orange juice, and he gets about halfway full and starts looking over there to talk to somebody. And it overflows. But he looks hilarious walking down the street when he wants to. He looks normal when he wants to look normal. But in lieu of my super, I'll repeat my super invite to return to my OSE campaign. I would love to return to the OSE campaign. Um, it's Sundays. Did you say you had moved to Sundays or something like that? I can only do on certain times. I can only do certain times. Sturm und Drang. Sturm und Drang. Storm and thunder. It helps to never grow up as well. And the trust exercise. The trust is that I won't fall back on you. Amen. Yeah. Thank you for the self-censoring there, Bill. There was a Ministry of Silly Walks and Flying Circus. There you are. Yep, that was it. That's what the boys they've seen that the cheese shop, the parrot sketch, things like that. God bless you, squirrel. What are you sitting at, squirrel? What are you sitting at? So Friday night, some occasional special sessions before Sunday afternoons closer to you near Clarkson Station. That's right. You had mentioned that, and if you let me know when those happen, but I suppose that's not the game with Sturm went wrong. Although I imagine he could travel as long as they're on the same world, or someone else could show up. I rolled up like 8 characters on index cards. 178, 180. Yeah. There's a point where I know, like I went up and then I stalled out in the. It took me forever to get through the 1540s. I don't know why, and I'm not really like. Eh, it's nice to get more subscribers and more views and everything, but have any of the subscribers randomly shown up at the church yet? No, you've made it. No, no one has shown up at church. Well, I'll say this: someone has figured out um, by looking through my YouTube channel and the information that it contains, figured out what my parish was and went over and subscribed to my parish's YouTube channel, and he watches Sunday church. When I first on YouTube when we were live, did you live stream to YouTube or did I put up? No, I would record and post. But now we're live streaming on the church's Facebook page. So he'll often be one of the people who watches on a Sunday morning. We don't have many people watching on live stream anymore because you can go to church. All the restrictions are lifted and we're open again. But we still live stream for the handful of people, and because frankly, since we've reopened, um, people have shown up and they say that the way they found out about our parish, the thing that made them decide to come was watching on YouTube or watching on Facebook. It was a low bar to get used to it, and then they came. So I keep doing it. So yes, I have had subscribers from the Dungeon Minister migrate over to Sunday church services on the church's platforms, but never in person. I think I don't. I mean, I don't know. Mage seems to be like the closest person geographically to me. I think. Although there's some others who are in Ontario. Um, he's the closest geographically, and he's quite a quite a haul out by public transit. Do I ever go outside of the canon Beckme stuff for monsters, ideas, etc.? I do. I've brought a mimic in, which is not Beckme. It's nowhere in Beckme. And I've also just invented monsters. Bob Johnny, my youngest, invented the paper golem, and I put that in. Um, I invented the guardians of the sorcerer's pool in the Coil of Jomher. Um, I've put yeah, yeah, I have. And then I mean, obviously, the creature catalog is still canon for it. And like, I mean, I've invented living statues that aren't in the book, but the book says invent your own. So I kind of still regard those as canon back me because the the books say invent your own. But yeah, I do. Then there's well, those are all pretty in. I did something else recently. I can't remember what it was now, but I have and will continue to. Yeah, 1500 is a plateau. The other plateau is actual views. I find that the more subs a channel has, for the most part, there are a few channels that break this, but for the most part, the more subs a channel has, the wider the gap or the lower the percentage of people who actually watch. The number of people who watch my videos hasn't changed a whole lot since around 8 or 900 subs. So a lot of those people were sort of they were sort of courtesy subs. Like, oh, I'll sub in order to sort of bookmark this person. I'll come back later and watch them. I'll just sub now to bookmark it, and then they never get around to coming back, or they didn't hit the bell, so they don't know when I've uploaded, and because it was just a sort of, yeah, I'll save that by subbing to it, they don't really remember, um, which is fine. Which is fine. Uh, yeah, it would be at least on a Sunday it would be. The go is pretty regular during the week, but on a Sunday it would be a nightmare. Lots of paper cuts. Hey, you know what, Squirrel? The 178, 180 who watch, they are committed, and I love your stuff. It's often out of left field. I mean, there's some kooky stuff you put up that's fabulous. I love it. It will be in person, Claricon or whatever it is. If it happens, it's going to be in person. I found out. I asked the parish administrator because I have no idea what these things cost, how much it would cost to rent the hall for a Friday through Sunday, and the number she came back with wasn't nearly as much as I thought it was going to be. Partly because it's being rented by a member of the parish. We have a lower rate for parishioners. See you, Canuck. See you, Sissy. Have a good rest of your day and your team meeting. Yeah. What gets used and what time of day? What time of day the you post a thing can really have an effect. And you'll post something and it'll launch and it'll go huge, and then you'll post something else almost identical, and it just creeps along. It's like, what? I don't know what the difference is. I don't know what the difference is. Owl bears can't fly. Well, you know what? If you push them off a high enough spot, they can. No, no. Well, Bill, you got a lot of boost during the whole OGL thing. You were saying the other day. I mean, it was your huge spike was from the OGL thing. So it was people wanting to catch news on that, and you were posting like every day, two, three times a day. So it was a great place to go to get some input and from an OSR sort of perspective, right? Like, what effect is this going to have? Not on, Paizo, not what effect is it going to have on, 5e, but what effect is it going to have on the older systems, which was an interesting take, which wasn't really being done anywhere else. Daddy rolled a one, yes. He's also someone who games with his kid. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. The algorithm is fickle and I don't understand it. Someone told me that the number of views you get in the first hour has an effect because YouTube rewards success. So I try to launch when I think people are going to be awake. you know. But, well, that's kind of you, Ian. That's kind of you. A miniature painting contest. Ooh. Like what would you mean like people would submit pictures of what they've done or live stream painting? Oh, Lightmane, there's not enough videos on Earth to keep you advised of that, but yes, I agree. Well, you know what, Bill? There were a lot of people who were doing videos about how the OGL was going to affect other people. Like, someone's got to be reporting on what is it going to do to the OSR. Well, thank you, Matt. Occasionally, I'll see that. Sometimes people will, when they recommend me, they'll tag my Facebook page in the recommendation, um, and then I'm always like, do I go and look at what it says? Because Facebook will give you a little blurb of what it was. It's like, do I go look at it and see what other people comment? Because they hear someone say, check out the Dungeon Minister, followed by 8 comments of that jerk. I wouldn't follow his stuff. He's an idiot. He did. Usually, it's all kind. I think they're afraid. They're afraid if they criticize a priest, something bad will happen to them. But thank you for recommending. That's the big thing is sharing it and letting other people know. That's a big part, of spreading it. Yeah, the rage bait. God bless you. The rage bait does pay off. And I released something at midnight just because I'd been working on it and I had it done and I wanted to get it out in time. Um, I released it at 1 in the morning, and it did fabulously. 1 in the morning or midnight or something, it did fabulously. So the next one, I thought, well, I'll release at the same time, and it nothing. So yes, he could. Be the Bob Ross of miniature painting. I last night I just turned my phone on to a 24-hour Bob Ross marathon and went to sleep to that. It was lovely. I had dreams of happy little clouds. Oh, I could win an ugly mini contest. Let me tell you right now. Pressing hard on the cardboard artery. Yes, literally watching paint dry. I was more imagining the painting process. Lots of people do that, I guess. Lots of people do that. I know DM James will live stream himself painting minis, and he just chats away as he's doing it, and occasionally looks at the comments and responds to something. Amen, Steve. You know what? Like it isn't the rules that come out of you know they're tools to be used to play the game. The game doesn't happen in the book, though. The game happens at the table. The painting contest not going to be live. It'll be dealing with finished miniatures. Very good. Very good. Happy little subscribers pressing that button. Happy little subscribers. Oh well. Well, folks, it's getting close to the end of my free time here, and I do have to send some emails to parishioners who missed the fact I told them I would be away for 3 days. They missed it, and they're still peppering me with emails, so I do have to go back and answer a few of those. Bless their souls. I will, Tommy. I'll do my best. The food here is excellent. The food here is excellent. Hadn't rolled up our characters yet. Yeah, it's a game of Traveler. We're not rolling up characters. You're going to go through the painful process of watching your character die before we even play. Anyway, so have a good day, everyone. Thanks for joining me and hanging out. Thank you to everyone who super chatted, Lightmane and Bill and Squirrel there. Thank you. It's very kind of you. And you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye. I guess I can't turn it off here. I better turn it off here. I don't know where I do that. Here, I guess.